All right. Hey everyone, how's it going? It's Mr. Linhart. Hope your summer's going great. This is our first meeting. I'm at home right now recording this. You can see there's me. Hey, look a little rough right now. I know it's didn't wake up too long ago. And in case you're wondering, yes, my hair is in a headband. That's how long my hair is getting. So it's just me and my dog Stewie. We're gonna make this. There he is. We're gonna make this recording for you. So this is our first meeting. This one is going to be probably a little bit longer than what you can expect. But we're just gonna. I'm gonna try to go over everything you need to know. Go over some tips. What the expectations are for you and everything like that. So, first thing I want to do is I was looking. First off, welcome to BAM. It's a pretty fun group. I hope you like it. Um, there are some expectations out of you that I want to go over. So we're going to do that. And just, first off, thanks for doing this. I know you're sacrificing a decent amount of your time. So I appreciate it. I know the administrators appreciate it. And whether or not they want to admit it, I know the freshmen next year are going to appreciate it. So, first thing I wanted to do was show you this video I found on YouTube about what makes a good teacher. It's from a school, I'm thinking either England or somewhere with really thick accents. But it is a good movie, and we're going to talk about it a little bit. So it's 3 minutes 31 seconds. So enjoy it.
What do you think makes a good teacher?
I think someone who's firm but fair, and like someone who's got a sense of humour as well. Because if you're willing to have a laugh with your students, then you're going to earn their respect. So they're more likely to listen to what you say.
They have to be kind of like get you involved in the subject, because if it's just like do this, do that, blah, 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 and they don't like talk to you as like either an individual or like on a personal basis, it's kind of just like they're talking to you, not with you. And they have to get you involved in the subject for you to actually understand it and help you understand it. So if they're more like kind of like over the top or like a bit enthusiastic about their subject, it kind of makes you think, oh, they do it, so I'm going to do it as well. So it kind of makes you more happy to do it.
They need to be not too strict. They still need to be friendly, but they need to be able to control the class and see when like an individual is talking. They need to deal with individuals rather than the whole class.
I think like someone who like helps you be involved in the lessons and does like really active things, so it helps you remember it.
I'd say definitely the ability to inspire children and teenagers and everything. If they're really passionate about the subject, then that's important. But also knowing how to relate it to the context of their pupils' lives. That's very important, because if it's not in the right context, then you really don't know how it relates to your life, and it makes it seem a bit pointless learning it.
First thing that comes to my head, I'd say, is the ability to communicate with the class. Because I find my favourite teachers are the ones who can teach well, but the ones who are able to communicate it to the class. And it's not just being serious all the time. You can have a bit of fun, but the main thing is what they've got for the lesson planned, they get across to you, you remember it, and that's fine. Because I have some teachers who really know their stuff, but they're not able to sort of teach it to the children as well, because it doesn't sink in. So I think that the best thing for a teacher to do is to be able to communicate with the students.
I think consistency, because it's like even if you are strict, then it's like if the students or whatever, if they know where they stand, then they're more likely to do what you want.
I think they've got to be like approachable. Like if you have a problem, then you can easily like go to them and like they can help you sort it out. And they've got to be firm. But then again, they've basically got to be like a big kid, but they've got to be like firm.
If you can't talk to them and have a bit of a laugh with them as well as learning, then it kind of takes the fun out of it. And you need to have the balance right between being able to relate to the students and talk to them about everyday things, but also having their respect as well, kind of knowing where to draw the line.
A good teacher is someone who listens a lot to you and responds to what you say. They don't just ignore you. They like take you in completely, and they're like there for you all the time.
It's a hard job, isn't it?
Yeah.
Alright, so I thought that was a good video to show what traits are going to help make advisory the best it can be. Some of the ones I want to go over with you. Sense of humor. If you go into advisory, I don't want you guys going into advisory and treating it like you're the boss. I think we've all had those teachers where they come in, this is my class, blah, 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 and it's just miserable. It sucks as a class. Whereas you have those other teachers where you understand that they're the teacher and they're kind of setting the pace of the class, but they treat it as a community. You feel like you have a voice, you feel like you can crack jokes, but you also know when it's time to kind of buckle down and get some work done. And that's ideally the type of person you want to be in the classroom. So you want to have a sense of humor, get involved in the subject, and be enthusiastic. So the whole point of advisory, when it was started, was to have a class to help the transition from middle school to high school. That being said, these lessons are going to hit harder, maybe not hit harder is the wrong word, relate, there you go, relate with the students a lot better if you could kind of add your own touch to this. If when we're doing our homecoming lessons, talk about what you did during homecoming. When we're talking about picking classes or registration, go over what your thought process was when you were picking classes. When we talk about counselors, talk about your relationship with your counselor. So what you want to do is add your personal touch into this so that students, the freshmen, can see how this is going to affect them. Control the class and be friendly. You know, this isn't just a hangout. There are things we need to get across to them. One thing I've told my BAMs in the past, and we'll kind of go over that in the expectations of BAMs, is that I put lessons up. You don't have to use them. You know, the story I like to use is I had a BAM, Elise. She graduated not this past year, but the year before. But she would look at the calendar. She would see the lesson. She would look at my lesson. She would see the points I wanted to get across. And then instead of doing the lesson, she would just have a class discussion. And it was more effective than if she would have just went through the lesson I presented because she knew her class. Okay, that comes through with, you know, being prepared. So, you know, keep that in mind, that you can change the lessons if you want. Relate to the students' lives. You know, take a step back to when you were a freshman. For some of you, it was only a couple months for you. For some of you, it was, you know, 2-3 years ago. So take a step back and try to relate the lesson and talk about, you know, as you're reading through it, as you're looking through it, as you're presenting this, how can this directly help, you know, the freshmen? Ability to communicate. Hopefully you all have great social skills. That's why your application made it through. Be able to talk to them. Consistency. Approachable. You know, if you know, the whole point of having students as BAMs is because hopefully students will feel easier to talk to you. The freshmen will feel a little bit more at ease to talk to you than they would if a teacher was running it. And then I like when they said have a bit of a laugh with them. You know, every once in a while, make it fun. Do something silly. You know, go off script. So those are really the traits you need to have. And the good thing is, the reason all of you were put into this program or your application was accepted was because you already have these traits. So we're not really asking you to do much more than you can already do. Okay? So now let's go over the expectations of the BAMs, and I want to make sure I am very clear about this. So each week is set up, it's 2 days a week. You're either going to be a Monday, Wednesday BAM or a Tuesday, Friday BAM. Okay? When, and I can't tell you your schedules yet. Schedule pickup day is coming up in a couple weeks. But first off, you know, each week you're going to have a lesson and you're going to kind of have a study hall, and the teachers will have a progress monitoring day. Be prepared. I cannot emphasize this enough. When a teacher tells me they have an issue with their BAMs, I'd say 90% of the time it's because they come in not prepared. They come in saying, what are we doing today? Or it's very obvious that the first time they are looking at the lesson is when they're presenting it. Don't be that person. Be prepared. Look over each lesson before class. Those of you that are new to advisory, what happens is I share a Google Calendar. It'll look like something like this. This is from last year. When you click on an event, I will have, sometimes it'll be basic like this, where I'll have a lesson plan on your iPad. You should be able to click and look at it, and I'll have a video. And then sometimes, I don't know if I have a good example here. Okay, so like this one, I had a PowerPoint or a Google Slides presentation and a lesson plan. Sometimes in the description, I will just type out what is going to be happening. Sometimes I might have a lesson where I have a topic, and I might say, this is what the point I want to get across. You guys figure out how you want to present it. Most of the time, though, I will have a lesson for you to fall back on if you do not have, most of the time I'll have something for you to do. But like I said, you don't have to do that. You know, you're going to know your class better than I am. So if you realize a different way is a better instruction for them, if maybe you want to make more Kahoots, if you want to have more class discussions, if you want to watch more YouTube videos, whatever the case may be, I'm fine with it as long as the main message is getting across. Okay? Email teachers by, I'm going to put this one, I should have put this one in bold, so I'm going to do it now. Email teachers by Sunday 5 p.m. the latest. So like I said, before the week starts, you need to be in communication with your teacher. Okay? They have access to the calendar, but they don't know how you're going to present it. So what you just need to email them is what you're going over, what tools you need. It might just be, hey, we're doing the homecoming lesson. I'm using a presentation that was created. I am going to use my iPad. I just need access to the projector. If you're going to need something for them, like for example, if you need something for some reason, you need their TV, you need to use their actual laptop, or you need supplies or something like that, I would say get that to them sooner rather than later. If possible, talk to them before school gets out for that week to see if they can supply it or if it's something I need to look into getting. But just the big thing is that you need to be in communication with your BAM teacher, okay? Going along with the teachers, this isn't a teaching assignment for the teachers, so they shouldn't really be doing much more than taking attendance and then doing their progress monitoring that they'll do the second day of the week. You guys don't got to worry about that. I'll talk to them about that. But do use them as a soundboard, as help. The reason that they're in there is because they're good teachers and they're very approachable. So talk to them. If you're needing help with classroom management, you could help them to maybe, help you out a little bit or give you tips or techniques or advice. So do use them as a resource. The other thing you are responsible for is check-ins. Okay. So once a week, you will be checking in with your, what'll happen is in your BAMs, so there's 2 to 3 of you in every section. There's about 20 to 24 kids in each section. What you guys will do is you'll divvy up the section however you want. And you'll be assigned a smaller group of kids. All of you will do the lessons, but then within that lesson, you'll have a smaller group. This should sound familiar to everyone. And what you're going to do is you're going to check in with them once a week. Okay, when you check in with them, you're going to fill out this form at tinyurl.com/BAM check-ins. What I would recommend you do, so you have easy access to it either on your phone or on your iPad, go to this website, and then in the bottom, when you go to bookmark it, I would make it an actual home screen icon, so you could just touch it and go to it. Basically, this is what it looks like. Once we take a yearbook photo for this year, I will update this. But you just put the student you talk to, what your name is, and let me go back there. You will put the student's name, there we go, student's name, your name, what you talked about. A lot of the time it could just be homecoming. It could just be general talk. It could be social media, friends, whatever. It could be, quick and to the point. This is just to document it. We want to document every time we talk with a student, okay? And I'll be checking these periodically. If you talk to someone and you think something raises a red flag, and basically what a red flag is just if you think it's something, I don't know, that makes you think twice. It doesn't have to be uber drastic. It could be. Definitely if it's something where you think someone's a threat to themselves or they're about to make some poor decisions, let me know immediately. If there's ever anything that you just feel, hey, this kid might need to talk to someone, this kid might need, to reach out a little bit, let me know, and I will either talk to the student or I'll get their counselor involved, because that's the whole point of this, is just we want to make sure, students feel comfortable and they have someone to talk to. Okay, but make sure you document it every time you talk to them. That's why I made it a URL that's easy to remember, and that's why I recommended you put it on your home screen of your iPad. Okay, it's basically, it's pretty informal. The way to think about it is, if you're talking to your friends, you're like, hey, how are things going? That's what it is. The whole point of advisory is to have an upperclassman for the freshmen to relate to. You guys are those upperclassmen. So the goal is that if an issue ever comes up and they have no one to talk to, they can see you and say, hey, can we talk for a second, okay? The other thing is that we are responsible for a couple extra events. One of those is freshman orientation. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. Another one is the first day of school. I'm going to bold this one too. So on the first day of school, ideally, I would like for all of you to wear your BAM shirts. You will get your BAM shirts either at freshman orientation setup, freshman orientation day, or some of you have reached out to me and said that there's just situations you can't get around and you're not going to make it to orientation. Get it from me eventually. But sports is not an excuse, because I did reach out to all the coaches already, so they know that you will be with me that day. Basically, if you're out of town or there's an extreme medical condition or family issue, that's really the only excuses, because freshman orientation is kind of our first opportunity to say hey to these kids. But the first day of school, I would like for you to wear your BAM shirts, just so you're easy to spot out. Now, I know senior girls, you guys get those basketball jerseys to wear. That's fine. Wear those. I get it. But no matter what I need everyone to do is during passing period, I want all of us, and I'll be there too, to be in the freshman hallway, which I believe is, if you go into the main foyer in the stairwell to the right, I think that's where the seniors were last year. So I believe that's going to be the freshman locker area, but I'll get more details. And basically, we're just there to help kids find out where they're going. Okay? So, ideally, I'd like for you to wear your BAM shirts. If you don't, you don't. It's not the end of the world. I get it. But I do want everyone in that hallway between passing periods. I will email all the teachers in the school to let them know, give them a list of your names, and let them know you're going to be a minute or two late to classes possibly. So that's a big deal, just because, BG is a pretty big building, and it is kind of intimidating to some of these kids, and especially if they didn't go to CAF night and they didn't go to freshman orientation, that first day of school might be their first time in the building. So I do want, that's one thing I'm really emphasizing, is that be in the freshman hallway in between each period. Okay? And then there's going to be other events through the year. Like I said, you guys are, known throughout the school as very reliable kids, very good kids, very helpful kids. So Mr. Hartwig and other administrators do come and ask me for volunteers. A lot of times I can sweet talk him into providing pizza or food for us. But what else is nice is for those of you that are in NHS, or those of you that are sophomores that are part of the Harper Promise program, these are easy ways to kind of knock out some hours. Those aren't required, they are voluntary, but freshman orientation, first day of school, and CAF night are required. Now with CAF night, I know what I like about a lot of you is that you're involved in a bunch of different things. All I'm asking is that you split the time. So you don't have to be the whole time with BAMs, but it's something you need to be at. I got to take a drink. Hold on. Okay. Other expectation is you need to check your emails to be safe. I mean, honestly, you should always be checking your school email. I would say you check your school email at least twice a day, maybe start of the day, end of the day. Because I do know for a lot of teachers, that's their way of communicating. I know if I'm your counselor, that's the main way I communicate with you guys. But especially for advisory, I would say try to check your email at least once a day just to be safe. I do have the remind set up where I can text you guys, but I'll be honest, I don't always text you guys. Is my battery gonna last? I need to plug in soon. So make sure you do that. Make sure you're checking your email consistently. Okay. Now, as far as advisory goes and expectations for you, I had teachers last year email me a couple times about students saying, I'm worried about this BAM. This BAM shows up consistently. Not prepared. This BAM doesn't really show up. They show up when they want to. This, that, or whatever. A decent amount of the time, it was because there was something not communicated with the teacher. And that's where that communication piece needs to be in, not just for lessons, but just in general. You need to have a good working relationship with your teacher. But that being said, things happen. And sometimes we don't always perform up to our best capability. So here's the rule. Excuse me again. Here's the rule we're doing for this year. Let me bold this. You know what? I'll highlight it too, just to make sure everyone sees it. So, you get one warning. What's going to happen is I'm going to tell the teachers if there is an issue with a BAM, they are going to let me know, and I'm going to talk to you guys. And I'm going to treat you like an adult. I'm not going to yell at you. I'm not going to, brave you or anything like that. But, I'm going to let you know, hey, listen, your teacher talked to me, said this, that, whatever. I'm telling you 99% of the time when a teacher talks to me, it's because a kid isn't prepared. So if you just make sure, if you set a reminder maybe for yourself every Sunday, take a look at the advisory lesson plan, email my teacher, there's not going to be an issue. But that being said, you'll get one warning from me. And then if the teacher reaches out to me again and says, hey, you know what, so-and-so is still an issue, then I'm going to ask you, then you're not going to be a part of the program anymore. First off, I do really, really appreciate you volunteering your time. You're giving us, 20 minutes of your lunch period 2 days a week. On top of that, freshman orientation, the plant is a long day, the planning, calf night. You're giving us a lot of time, and I do appreciate it, but I do want you to know it is a privilege, okay? Only 58% of kids that applied to be BAMs made it in. So basically, I'm not a math major, but it's a little more than 1 out of every 2 kids. So if you and your friend both applied, chances are one of you got in and one of you didn't. So this is a very, I don't want to sound pompous and say, but it is a very distinct group. We do have a reputation of being, one of the more reliable groups on campus and being, a great collection of kids. So, just do what you do what you wrote in your application, and you'll be fine. But I do want to go over that just so there's no bickering and there's no gray area. You'll get one warning from me. Hopefully that'll correct it if they're not to be a part of the program. Okay? Schedule pickup. In that email I sent you, some of you did say that you would want to do schedule pickup on, I think it was August 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Check your email periodically. You will be getting an email probably from Mr. Hartwig or Ms. Igiarto. She actually just emailed me. Yeah, so one of them will be emailing you. So just be on the lookout for that. I'd be surprised if you will be doing all the hours you signed up for. But do take a look at it. Expect an email from them. They'll let you know what days they'd like you to come in. Either they are going to sign your sheet, or if they don't, I'll sign your sheet. Someone will sign your sheet. So if you forget it, if they don't sign it that day, if you can't find them that day, honestly, if you don't really know who they are, and you don't get them to sign it, just come find me, and I will sign it for you eventually. Okay? Lastly, freshman orientation. We are going, I should bold this too. I really was not prepared. It's early, I apologize. Well, it's not that early, but I'm just, it's a slow start. My kickstart hasn't kicked in yet. So, freshman orientation setup is going to be Saturday, August 13th from 11 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. I don't expect us to, 2:30 p.m. needs to be the latest. Quite honestly, because I need to leave, because we're having people at my house, and my wife and I are finding out if we're having a boy or a girl. So I definitely need to get out of here, or get out of school. I can't be there too long. So let's get there, and let's be really efficient. Basically, what we're going to do is go over the day. We'll decorate the theater, make it look nice and pretty. We'll stuff the freshman bags with the 1BG styluses, and then hopefully we'll be on our way. Orientation, I need you there at 6:30 in the morning. I will pick up some donuts for us, or I'll pick up some donut bites from Spunky Dunkers. From what I understand, kids prefer that over Dunkin' Donuts, which is fine with me. Yeah, so that's really, so freshman orientation is our big event. Freshman orientation is our chance to say, hey, welcome to BG. Freshman orientation is these kids' first taste of Buffalo Grove. So we need to be energetic, we need to be friendly, we need to show them how awesome of a place this is, and all that good stuff, okay? So put those on your calendar, Saturday, August 13th, Monday, August 15th. Really excited to work with all of you guys. I think this is one of the better collections of BAMs. Not to say that if you were a part of it last year or 2 years ago when I took over it, that you weren't great, but I feel like this year the vetting process was a lot more stricter in looking at applications. We were a little more strict. So let's have a good year. Lastly, the attendance for meetings, I will be including Google Forms, and this one is going to be tinyurl.com/virtualmeeting1. I'm doing this at the end of the presentation. Don't think during the year you can just fast forward to the end of the presentation, because what I like to do is during these meetings from here on out, I'll slip them in during the middle, just so you can't just click on the meeting, scroll to the end, and sign in like you watched it. But you guys are all good kids, so I don't think that's going to be a problem. But welcome to BAM. I'm excited for a great school year. I hope you guys are as well. If you have any questions or concerns, do email me. I'll be in the office, I think the first week of August. When I check my email that I sent you in my signature, I have my calendar, and we'll go from there. Let's have a great school year.